the grandstand jockeys, I love their music, by the way, they ask, how do you go about fixing working with someone who has a short fuse? That is a really great question. Now, let me preface this by saying, I think I've only lost my temper 3 times in 30 plus years in the studio as a producer. And one was with a friend, and so he forgave me right away. But all 3 times, I prefaced it greatly by saying we were getting to the point where I couldn't take it anymore and that we either needed a break or we needed to go in a different direction. Yet I'm still not proud of it. But so I think I can speak from authority on this. I think maybe 3 times in 30 plus years isn't bad, but I can still speak on authority because I've been in situations with people like that. And the advice I can give you is this. 1, don't work with someone like that anymore if they do it all the time. Like if it happens once in a while. I mean, I'm from New York, where we tell you how we feel. And so that might be why we lose our temper. If we tell you exactly what we're thinking, we're not playing like passive aggressive games. So if we get pushed to our limits, then it's really our limits. But if someone's like that all the time, I really don't recommend working with that person. If you're in a band with that person, maybe you should sit down and have a serious and honest conversation with them about like, look, this isn't going to work if this is going to be this way. Now we can take efforts to work around this, and we'd like you to stay in the band. Or if it's with a producer or a publisher or a record label person, you have to sit them down and be honest. And that starts with your expectations. You have to specifically tell them what your expectations are of them. Like, for instance, you expect them to show up on time, you expect them to work as hard and as long as you do, and you don't expect to have any corners cut, and you expect total honesty. So that would be the first discussion I would have. You know, another thing that you should do is probably let them know, look, this is how I am. This is how I work. This is how I like to work. This is what I expect from the people around me. If I call you, I expect a call back. I don't want to have like a bunch of, unreturned calls or unreturned texts and try to track you down. That's not going to work for me. You tell them this up front. And if that's the way it is, we're not going to work together anymore. I mean, it really gets into psychology at a certain point because you're going to be spending a lot of hours with each other if you're going to be working with each other. So I would suggest if that person flies off the handle on a regular basis, don't probably work with them. But if it's like a certain situation and it's once in a while, I think it's important to find out why they're flying off the handle. Sometimes it's insecurity. Sometimes they have outside pressures. Sometimes you have outside pressures. Sometimes there's deadlines. Sometimes there's money issues. You just need to really get in a room and have an honest, forthright discussion about these things before you work together and even while you're working together, or it's just going to explode and it's going to get worse. I mean, nobody wants to be in that situation. So that would be my advice, is lay out your requirements of the relationship up front, what you expect of them, what they can expect of you. And if it doesn't go that way, let them know up front that you're going to go your way and it's not going to work for you. That's the only advice I can give you, because I've never worked with someone who flew off the handle all the time or regularly. Thank goodness. But I have worked with some touchy people, and almost always it was other things. And in fact, the 3 times I've lost my temper, I mean, okay, twice I was pushed too far after I had warned them I was being pushed too far. And once they had outside pressures and I understood and we all forgave each other. So you have to be honest. You don't want to work that way. It's not conducive. It's playing music. Play being the operative word. Yes, we're trying to make commerce, but if it's not fun, why are we doing this? Cool?